Hello everyone, Revan619 here, and I'm doing a little testing video because I was putting together some Hyrix builds, and it appears that there's quite a few balked things going on with Psyker staffs that I kind of need to go over, and I'm going to have to do some tests to pretty much just show what that is. And yeah, talk a little bit about what we're seeing here. So I'm just getting some enemies set up so I can obviously get Cassia to do some of her finest hour things, and then I can start to talk about some of the issues that we're seeing going on here. So I'm gonna start by, I've just set up my little Heinrichs build here so I can do some tests, and we're going to have a look at a few things that I just wanted to point out. So the first one is, it appears that with speeded up animations, side powers are not increasing Veil. So as you can see, this is going to predict that I'm going to see some increases here. I do it, and as you notice, Veil degradation is not increasing. So if I throw these onto Heinrichs, as you can see here, yeah, we are not seeing any issues with powers increasing any Veil. So even for a major power like this, absolutely nothing. So yes, that in itself is already an issue. So I'm actually going to do a little quick save with F5 here, because there's a couple of things that we want to look at to be able to discuss, because there's also some issues going on with Psyker staffs counting as melee as well as powers not doing what they're doing. So this is my Heinrichs all buffed up. I was actually going to be testing a different build of him, which is using a double force sword and staff arc militant, where it's all about kind of like base damage and going for more of a duelist approach with obviously breakthrough. Now the first thing we want to look at, and a couple of things I'm going to test here, is we're going to look at Emperor's Wrath. So as I was saying, I think this is a little bit bulk. So if I apply Reckless Strike here, and then I blast this man here, if we look at that damage here, Reckless Strike is applying to the powers if it's melee, and so is Hand of Offense applying if it's a power, so is Desolation. So whatever they've done in 1.5 has really messed up some of this stuff here. Obviously Crowd Kill was always applying to area attacks, but yeah, we're definitely seeing these issues applying to here. Now that was not a critical, I do not believe, but are we seeing a critical chance in there anywhere? Let's just switch that over. So we did, Empress did 319, so we didn't see any critical coming in, which is okay. But there seems to be an issue that we will then see if we start using Confident Approach, because Confident Approach is not working how anyone was expecting with that. The neat thing is about this setup is we can do a whole bunch of cool little things with it. So obviously I've been using Reckless Strike with some things, so being able to set this up and get some of those powers going in there to build some versatility has been quite fun, and obviously building up a lot more of the powers and focusing more on that side of things. But yes, as I said, we are definitely seeing some bulk things coming in here with the fact that yes, a lot of our powers are applying in ways that they really shouldn't be. But yeah, you can do some absolutely really nice damage with this setup, and you can build up versatility pretty nicely with it. So yes, it's going quite fun, I would definitely say, with that. But yes, I'll need to do some reloads to show off some of these other issues that we're seeing here. And yes, the neat thing about this, it's very easy to build up a lot of the powers, and as you can see, these are offhands. So the Veil is actually being built up by Veil Render as that hits things, which is kind of fun and interesting that does it. And obviously that opens up easily to like Daring Breach, but we're also getting in a lot of agility bonuses here. But if we just quickly F8 that, so we will reload back to before I did that test, and we're going to do some shenanigans with doing some of our we're going to have a look at Confident Approach here and see how that's meant to be working. So we've gone back to here where I was on Heinrichs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up some cheat tools here. We're going to look at Heinrichs, and we're going to go to his features. Oh, sorry, actually, we're going to go to abilities here, and I'm actually going to give him Confident Approach. So we're going to give him the Confident Approach feature as well as Calm and Steady. And then I'm actually going to do some tests here as well with this. So I'm going to quickly F5 this again. So if I turn on Confident Approach, we're going to have a look at what we're expecting to see. So as I hit this Blighted Necron Warrior, we do 447. So what it does is the minimum value here is meant to be applying a plus. So this, we're seeing a +8 minimum here. And the damage of our sword is meant to be doing a range of 32 to 40. So that's a range of 8. And so that means we're getting a +8 minimum. So we're always going to be doing the maximum of the weapon-based damage. So that's kind of how that works. But what it does with the critical is we should be seeing Confident Approach lower some of that modifiers. But as we can see here, the critical damage, it's going to add on 72. So if we then go back, we'll hit that old F8. So 447 was what we were seeing there. And as you can see, it was coming up to sort of the maximum on top. Now, if we don't activate it and we just run up to this Necron and we give him a little smack. Now, 494. So we've actually done more damage. And whilst we now have a damage range that we're going to see on here, so we're not going to be hitting the maximum, so it's going to be 32 to 40 is going to be the base. But in the critical damage, you notice that obviously that's going to be higher because Confident Approach isn't lowering our damage. So that's not too bad from what we're seeing there. But what we really want to look at is there's always been the understanding that it was actually very useful for sanctified staff, and I had gone with the Reddit being told that you're always going to be doing your highest damage with it to stop the damage from being a little bit random, but that's not quite how it's working. So what we'll do is we'll swap back over to the staff. We're going to drop the staff here and we get a nice 684. So 684 is not too bad. The base is meant to be 12396, but as you can see, we have this range coming in here. Now, what we're going to be expecting to do, we've also got the 2.32. Now, when we turn on Confident Approach, we're going to be expecting to see that crit damage get lowered and it to be in the middle range. Now, because staff's always counting as melee, this is another issue that we're going to see, and I'll show what we're doing, how we're seeing that with the test and how that's negatively impacting it. We think that with the Sword of Faith update, it's sort of had a knock-on effect all staffs. If we then switch back to the staff, we turn on our combat log again. This time we activate Confident Approach and then we use it on the next one. Now, our damage has not had the desired effect that we thought it was going to do, because as you can see, the minimum damage is +4 here, so it's not actually hitting the range of the staff, and we're still getting a really big range here. We're getting a lower, obviously, crit modifier. But what it seems to be doing is it's actually using the 4 to 8 on the staff here. So we're getting that +4. We're not actually getting the damage from the Emperor's Wrath ability. So we're not actually seeing the damage that we're coming in with here. So that's not the expected behavior. Though, interestingly, like I said, the damage is being counted as being part of melee. So you're going to be seeing, obviously, hand of defense and all that. But if we load back further, one thing we need to look at here is the Pyromancy staffs. Because as I said before, so some powers, like the areas, just kind of hit, which is great. But the issue we're seeing is with Pyromancy staffs, because Pyromancy staffs are now getting parried when they shouldn't be, because it's actually doing a melee hit roll, so enemies can parry or dodge it. So if I go back here, we'll go to Heinrichs, and we'll quickly give him one of these Pyromancy staffs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Pyromancy to Heinrichs here. And we're going to do a little test with the Pyromancy staff. So, Staff of the Endless Flame. Going to pop that into his secondary. Okay, then we'll move it over to Heinrichs here. And again, this time we are going to create another little quick save. And so we can look at this little test here. So they've actually sort of changed the way that strike count works on Pyromancy staff, and they had been given a nerf, so they actually have a lower strike count. So the strike count at the moment is 7 on this one. So if we just run up and we just take the little shots here. So this now applies an attack roll, which I don't think it should be. So we're seeing a critical hit here. Auto hit due to melee attack. So obviously we've got their dodge and their parry is being applied. So apparently enemies are getting a chance to dodge and parry at power. So that's already not looking good for us. But, so at the moment Heinrichs' weapon skill is 176. But what happens if we go to Heinrichs, we quickly go to his stats. Heinrichs there, bam, bam, bam. Start battle, open up the combat. And he didn't, the guy didn't even parry, just killed him. Great. not the best option for that. Well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to set Cassia's weapon skill really, really high.
The Emperor is on our side.
And then blast her. So, Cassia even dodged here, so she would have been able to dodge or parry. But yeah, it is taken into the chance that she would have been able to do both. So as we can see, yeah, it's not quite working the way it should. But yes, devs help place all Psyker staffs count as melee, and they can be dodged and parried, and there's all sorts of weird shenanigans going on.